Hello. Oh. All right. One of the areas in our civil society with incredible underlying emotional energy, person to person, with all the connectedness we all have via technology, communication airways, mass media, is the matter of boundaries. All right, boundaries, to say the least, is basically guardrails. And as you get older and older, you start defining boundaries a little differently than when you were younger. When you're younger, boundaries might include money matters that are superficial. Okay? Only associating with those that look like you, because then you're with the right crowd and you're in Los Angeles. I'm just seeing this from a West Coast type of point of view, where we are very insulted by the personal strategies of this power of celebrity and how folks see Los Angeles or Hollywood as something generally of an approach dealing on personal interests, political needs to gain power via film arts, etc. So there's boundaries that are set up when you're working toward your career in the arts and entertainment, okay? That could even especially include law or being a business owner. Boundaries there are slightly different to when you get to maybe over 50 and you're thinking more in line with resistance to the world, okay? Knowing how you spend your money in less superficial ways. So boundaries may be economic, may be religious, may be spiritual, maybe via this emotional manipulation, getting around the crowd that you want, okay? That will use you as a defense mechanism, and you can use a certain social group as a defense mechanism so that your unconscious needs are being met due to sincere insecurity. When we're looking at boundaries, you have to say that they're going to be hindrances, okay? They come from Buddhism, in fact. 5 hindrances that we're looking at is 1, hatred or ill will. Having that external hatred for imperfection and how it totally dominates things that you say to certain people because you want to be with those that flatter you and stimulate you and hold your interests. This can be to the degree of setting up boundaries against your spouse because you're selfish and you don't want to share a contact with somebody with your spouse because your spouse is going to want to know all the details. So she has boundaries to keep her covenant with you safe. She's not a commandment breaker, but you are. This is for the sake of getting what you want through boundaries by hate. Now, that's in the most personal context ever when I'm talking about your relationship as a man with a woman or your significant other. Number 2 is going to be just this desire for sense of experience because you're physical, you're tactile, you're filled with lust, and you have pictures in your mind, and all you do is desire this sense experience where all senses in you are going to be activated. And where the boundaries that you set up could take on this look of idealism. And that can work off of hate as well. 3 is going to be restlessness. Choosing existing boundaries and fortifying them more, because let's say you're getting older and you have to be more concerned about your retirement, etc., your money, investments. And so you have this anxiety and restlessness. The fourth hindrance to boundary creation is sloth, being lazy. When one is lazy, they run the chance of being overcome by their own dreams and some foolishness. And there's this ability that sets in where you start becoming very opinionated and critical when all you're doing is sitting on your ass and you're just tied up in one big knot because everything around you is not working for you, and the only thing you can do is just become lazy and create boundaries that, with your personal values, are not really filled with dignity. You're just scouring or sulking or dealing intuitively with not liking yourself and not liking the other people around you. The next is our final, and that is doubt of who you are in your humane sustainability. Excuse me. And when you're insecure, pardon me, you tend to make decisions that may be superficial. And that could include justifying ways of painstakingly promoting guardrails that are really not mature, but they're just enveloped by mass extremities of control. Now, when you're creating boundaries, there's a lot of giving that you have to do. It's not just to protect your own selfishness. And coming from that place in your heart of murder and coveting, okay? Creating boundaries calls us to lay aside the lesser love for ourselves and do this on behalf of the protection of humanity. Now, folks today are very dissatisfied of what they see in themselves and in the surroundings about them. They see a lot of people stealing from the government. They see a lot of people stealing from their neighbors, stealing and sucking people up and using them, and then out of deceit, having certain standards through like a hypocritical ownership of, I want better for myself, but I need this to happen, and I'm going to break rules when nobody is looking. Now, there's a lot of lawlessness that reaches the personality when folks are setting up boundaries and these guardrails. I just want everybody through the decision-making of what they deem most important for humanity and international, global, or planetary humanist stratagems. And I'm not saying join the whole new philanthropist movement through a liberty movement, putting your money out there and just give. You know, you have to be very smart, all right? When you give, the payback of what comes to you is greater than what you gave, because the universe is a bounty. God, the Father, the Earth Spirit, the Holy Spirit, Jesus Christ, blood, okay? When you start living your life, not because you're joining the humanist secularist movement where you join your assets to put it out there to prove that that you are giving back to society and you're really not happy, you know, and you create boundaries to protect your wealth, but yet you have this not too joyful spirit when you give out of your heart, your boundaries are not promoting bounty of joy. That's a really important distinction when you know you're doing the right thing with your money, but you're not having the joy in your heart. So I think that in the 5 hindrances, hatred and ill will for people that might have more than you, the desire for sense of experience because you're of the flesh and you're carnal, restlessness, anxiety, sloth, and just indecision and doubting who you are as a national identity. You've got to be careful of making sure that your goal settings in line with your boundary evolutions, mature guardrails, are not criminal and vain.